Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tech Informist, where we will inform you, our listeners, about the technological industry, apps you should download on your favorite gadgets, and much, much more. My name is JJ Hammond. Are you ready to be informed? Of course you are. Up first for the show, he is currently our guest for the show. He's currently the lead for Director of Worldwide Retail Education and Evangelism for Microsoft and an ex-employee at Parallels who holds a degree in art history and is certified to teach Krav Maga along with holding a black belt in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Ben is happily married to his wife Deanna and father to 4 amazing children. The hardcore Ben, the PC guy Rudolph. Hello and welcome to the show, sir.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for taking out time in your very busy schedule to say hello and come on our show. But this show is not possible without my good friend, founder of this show and what is the STLTechTalk.com domain umbrella corporation, whatever the case may be, is the uncanny Kevin Harvell. Say hello, Kevin.
Hello, everybody. JJ, Ben, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And don't forget to visit STLTechTalk.com, Codecast by STL Tech Talk, and the TechInformist.com for all of those shows and those sites. We can't promote those enough because those are all the different things that we do, and it's awesome and fun. And don't forget, you can interact with the show by sending us feedback to contact@thetechinformist.com, and Twitter, just tweet to us at TechInformist. Also, we want to give a special thank you to John Sonmez and Brandon Paddock from Tweetium, who was our last guest on the Tech Informist. So go to thetechinformist.com to catch up on all of our past episodes. And I would like to thank the sponsors of our show, Unidev. If you dream it, they can build it. Custom software, end-to-end development, beautiful web design, and creative marketing solutions. In business for the last 25 years, with 200-plus customers, 24/7 support, you will not be let down or left out on the creation of your dream. If you want software development, content management systems, mobile development, e-commerce solutions, digital marketing, and hosting, a Microsoft partner, go to our website, stltechtalk.com, and click on their banner and get the high-quality service you deserve today. Now let's get to the reason why we're all here, frankly, and that's to talk with our good buddy Ben. You have an art degree from the George Washington University. What inspired you to pursue your career with technological companies?
I mean, I've always been a tech nerd and a science nerd. Fun fact: I used to teach astronomy and rocket science and chemistry at a science camp up in the Poconos, where I went for many years as a camper. And then I was a camp counselor for years. But really, my path into tech was kind of bizarre and weird, as a lot of people's are. So I have an art history degree, I'm a bio minor, and I was planning on going to medical school because that's what you do in my family. You go to medical school. Everybody goes to medical school.
Sure.
Right. It's just what we're doctors. Rudolphs are doctors, and I got an internship at a biotech company between my sophomore and junior year of college that was run by one of the guys who was a camp counselor of mine at the science camp called Camp Watonka up in the Poconos. For anybody who has a son between the age of 7 and 15 who's like totally into science, look up Camp Watonka. It's absolutely amazing. It was one of the best experiences of my life. So Colin Higby, who was the guy who was the CEO of the company at the time, he gave me this job to work in the lab because I was going to get experience from medical school. And I started working in the lab, and I just hated it. I hated it so much. It was so boring that I wanted to blow my brains out. I went to Colin and I said, "Look, man, you're my job for the summer." I mean, job is kind of loose. I think I got paid $100 a week.
Right.
But I said, I really want to keep working here, but you got to find something for me to do. And like, I felt that this like get some VC money. This book says a really great way to do that is to get PR, to get press coverage. Because if you get noticed in the press, you're going to get noticed by VCs, and they'll put some money in the company. So go do that. And I was like, well, I don't know how to go do that. And he said, well, I don't know how to go do that either. So you better go figure it out. So I started, poking around, getting some press getting some press contacts, figured it out in the biotech industry. And I pitched this story, and we ended up on the front page of the Los Angeles Times as a company about the biotech boom in Northern Virginia, and it became this really kind of big moment for us. We were part of this big story. And that did actually get us noticed by some VCs, and we did get some money put into the company. And Colin said, "Congratulations, man! You're running PR for Aptogen." So my junior and senior year at college, I was basically working full time for Aptogen in technology, PR, and marketing while I was finishing up my degree. And it just kind of went from there. That's how I went from, I did some stuff on my own for a while, then I went to Ginfinet, and then I ended up at Parallels, which eventually led to Microsoft, which is a very abbreviated history. But it was a pretty random path.
Well, what's really cool about that story is that it shows there's inroads from all different aspects and walks of life into the tech industry. I mean, and this industry needs people like you and smart people now really more than ever. And I think that your path maybe speaks to some of the other students or our students in general looking to get into this field, and that's really cool. And I think personal initiative. I think you have a nice story behind that, and trying to get into that field. So that's really, really cool. And you're like a live action hero, like because you can kick butt and you're a nerd, so that works with everything. Kevin, you're up with the next gen, sir.
All right, so we know you work at Microsoft and you're the Director of Worldwide Retail Education and Evangelism. How long have you been in charge of that department, and what is it like being the person in charge of such an important position with Microsoft as they make all these multi-platform changes and keep building their brand?
Yeah, I've been in this job for coming up on a year. I think it'll be a year sometime in the middle of January. And I say my team is responsible for everything that we do to educate, inspire, and build community for the retail pros who sell our products and services in retail stores. Awesome. We support a couple 100,000 people in 60 countries, 26 languages. So it's a global effort, and we cover everything from Windows and Windows Phone and the devices that those OSs run on, Surface, Office and the Office services, and everything related to Xbox. So we get to really touch everything in the Microsoft consumer product, including the band, which is cool. And it's been a really great experience. I mean, you guys are familiar with the work. There we go. The work that I did in Windows Phone with the Windows Phone Challenge, and how we use that to build experiential marketing and TV commercials and cinema, and create a great experience to inspire people to check out Windows Phone, and people who are already Windows Phone users to empower them to be great evangelists and be great fans. And now we get to do that, with a great team of people worldwide across all of our products. We know that retail pros they're the most important person in the room when it comes to a regular consumer making a decision.
Right.
They're the ones who swipe the credit cards, or the ones who put products in bags and hand it to consumers. So we need to win both the hearts and the minds of those pros. It's not just about saying, oh, here's a Surface Pro 3, and here's the screen resolution and the specs and the clock speed. You can do that, but that's just educating the mind. It's not winning the heart. If we know that if we turn our RSPs into fans, they're going to turn consumers and their customers into fans, and that Microsoft Army, that family, is going to grow. So it's been great to look at my team and start to move things around so we can focus on that evangelism piece, not just the education piece.
Yeah, totally. One of the things that I wanted to ask you is it in your budget to take people from non-retail stores like the AT&Ts and Mobilities and fly them up there to you and have you tell them how to sell the products, right? I'm just kidding. That was just a joke. No, because in the retail stores they do a phenomenal job, right? But outside of the retail stores, and not so much. Like, you really want to buy a Windows Phone? It's like, yes, they do. Stop dogging it, because that's not right.
Yeah, and it's a really good point. We actually do that, but you also have to think that it's not as simple as me saying, all right, JJ, you're a retail pro in AT&T, I'm going to fly you up to Microsoft. We have a whole U.S. team that focuses on U.S. retail pros. And then imagine that same team replicated in 60 countries speaking 26 languages. So it gets to be a really complex endeavor. But you make a really great point, which is, I think we've all been in a spot where we've gone into a store and you talk to somebody about a Microsoft product or service, and they don't really know what they're talking about, or they're like, oh, Windows sucks because blah. And it's like, I'm not saying that's universal, but we've all run into those individual people. That's why it's so important to turn them into fans. I mean, I look at it as if I can turn haters into acceptors and acceptors into fans and fans into evangelists, like it's a multi-tier thing that we're going to be in a really great spot. And that's what I think, when I did the Windows Phone Challenge, that's what it moved all those people who were haters to acceptors. They're like, it's not really for me, but they got a really fast camera.
Right.
Not really for me, but those live tiles seem pretty cool. And the people who were like, oh yeah, it seems kind of interesting, went, oh, I'm a believer now because I saw that. And we're seeing that across, the great marketing and the great stuff they're doing with Office 365. You're seeing it with the Surface versus MacBook Air commercials that are out there right now. There's a new sense that we're being able to instill to consumers into our retail pros about, one, Microsoft's not afraid, to stand up and say why our products are so great. Then two, we're building stuff that really allows people to make that great, smart, informed, competitive decision in a world where there are great competitive products. And when I look at our retail pros, that's what it's all about. It's about giving them the information and then giving them the great demos and the inspiring stories and scenarios, so they can, instead of saying, oh, you're looking for a phone, let me show you about live tiles, which are a great way. They can go, oh, you're looking for a new phone? Let me show you something awesome on this Windows phone. Like they have that great personal experience to share with the customer.
Right, and I think ecosystem too, right? Because the ecosystem wars are upon us. It's like the corporation wars of the future everybody was worried about. The ecosystem wars of the future are upon us, and it's very important that people get that, hey, you can get Xbox video, music, the gaming experience. You can get so many different aspects of the Microsoft ecosystem that I don't feel like outside of the Microsoft circle is talked about enough, right? Because there are competing and compelling reasons to like these things.
Yeah, you're right, and there's a lot of subtlety to the services that reach across that ecosystem. Things like your Microsoft account. People are like, I don't want an Outlook.com address because I have a Gmail address that I use. It's great, but your Microsoft account is your key. It's your entry point to the whole Microsoft world on your Xbox, for OneDrive, for OneNote, for Office 365. All these things work with a Microsoft account. And when you explain it that way, people go, oh, okay, so it's like signing up for a Facebook account or a Twitter account. It unlocks this ecosystem. Really important. OneDrive, first it was, there was a couple of gigs of storage and a terabyte, then unlimited storage, and it's like, now you've got this thing where it's like, oh, you sign up for this account, and you can put every file that you generate, every photo, every video, every document for the rest of your life, one spot, and access it on every device in the world, including your Xbox. It's pretty amazing.
No, I'm a quarter of the way through of doing just that. So
I spent 10 days last week doing that.
Yeah, and there's not a company that I trust more than Microsoft to hold all of that stuff for me, as opposed to other, who I won't name, companies that offer those kinds of services. The fact that I can put that in an unlimited, safe place is just really phenomenal. Kevin, you're up with your next question.
Just real quick though, with Windows Phone fans, they're such a passionate group of people. We've tried getting, an iOS or iPhone group started, and you walk into our local Apple stores, and they're just like, no. We don't need you people. We sell just as many phones as we can. Right. And obviously there's no Google store, so for Android, you just have to find those people. But no, that's one thing I just wanted to touch on real quick with Microsoft and what Windows fans, what's awesome. But Ben, tell us a little bit about your experience with Parallels, and do you still have much contact with the team over there? Are you still involved at all?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm involved at all. But I made some great friends at Parallels, and some of their people who've been there from the very beginning, who helped start the company. They're still great friends. We went through a lot together. When we started, it was a group of engineers really, and just me as the only non-engineer. And then it grew from this little company to kind of a pretty big company that's doing some really amazing things. So it's kind of like watching your kid grow up.
Right.
When we launched the Mac version, we didn't realize it was going to be, like Parallels Desktop for Mac, we didn't realize it was going to be such a huge deal. I knew it was going to be a pretty big deal when I was talking to Walt Mossberg, and I pitched him on the idea. I said, hey, we're working on this thing. And he was like, oh, yeah, we might want to cover that. and then we launched the same day as Boot Camp launched, which was just by total luck.
Right.
So there was like this great article all over the world about how, hey, there's this thing where you can run Windows on your Mac, but this little company just launched this product, and you can do it both at the same time, and you should probably check it out. And from there, it just went nuts. And it fundamentally changed. There are only a few products that I feel like worldwide ever in technology have fundamentally changed the computing landscape.
Right.
And Parallels Desktop for Mac was one of those products, and we really didn't have any idea it was going to be so big. But a long time journalist I won't tell you who it was, but I was, the first day that we launched Parallels Desktop for Mac, I was just doing press interviews just all day.
Sure.
Like 18 hours straight, 20 hours straight. And this guy, who's been covering the industry since the 70s, he said, there have always been these two worlds, the Windows world and the Mac world. And every day I went to bed, and I woke up in the morning, and the world looked the same. And today the world looks different.
Right.
Wow. I was like, wow, like that's pretty cool to be part of something that, really made a huge difference and took down this enormous. It no longer became an us versus them kind of thing. It just became like, look, there's this company that makes Macs, and they're really great, and they do a lot of really great stuff. And then there's Microsoft, they make Windows, and it's really great, and it's incredibly important, and it does a lot of great stuff. And wouldn't it be cool if we could just do both at the same time? It became a really powerful thing, and I think it really spoke more than anything else to the value and the importance of Windows.
Yeah.
Right? There were all these people who were Mac users who liked the hardware and liked the OS, but there was just a bunch of stuff you couldn't do. And then when you opened up the world and said, well, actually, you can have the power of Windows on your Mac, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it really did change the landscape a lot. I mean, there was a lot of devs even this last conference we were at that were using your, well, not your, but their service. So it's
a long time since I've been over there.
Yeah, right. Well, hopefully you had stock options. No, yeah. So, when you approached that Mac and PC world, did you have people who were trying to say that this wasn't right? Like, did you have the people that just said this is wrong? This is the human centipede type thing going on.
Oh God, here we go.
Yeah, it's a heck of a reference.
Yeah.
It was interesting because you had people approaching it from different sides, and I think it's kind of like any almost theologic debate, right? Because people get so religious about the ecosystem they get into. You had some people on the Mac side saying, "Why would I bastardize my Mac by running Windows on it?"
Right.
They understood why it was important, and I think they knew in their hearts are like, "Yeah, Windows is kind of a big deal, and it's kind of a really important thing." But there were some people who said, "I would never make my Mac dirty or unclean or not pristine by putting Windows on it." And then you had Windows people who said, "Oh my gosh, it's over for Dell and HP and Lenovo because no one's going to buy one of these things if you can run Windows on the Mac." And clearly, neither one of those were the case. The bulk of those companies are doing just fine, and they're selling a lot of machines. And there are a lot of people who have Macs who are now harnessing the full power of Windows as well. And that was pretty cool. And I think it's starting to, you see like what Satya's doing with the company now about is being built for different platforms and more things being open source and being cloud first and mobile first, that it's becoming that way where like Microsoft is creating amazing products and services for everybody.
Right.
So that what we did with Parallels, where it was just big OSs sitting on different pieces of hardware, was right along those lines. We were just doing it years ago with with a different approach.
That's awesome. Kevin, you're up with the next question.
All right, so you've been working on a new app called Straw. Tell us how it came to be and how the response has been to it.
Yeah, so Straw is a social polling app. It's available on Windows Phone, it's available on Android, and we're getting really close to launching the iOS version. And the premise is super simple. You open up the app, you create a poll with either pictures or text, a couple of options, and you can post it to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or even your friends via SMS. They vote on the web, and you get data back in real time. It's not about trying to create a new social network. It's about taking the networks that you already have and making them more useful and helping people make data-driven decisions on everything from the mundane to the major. And the response has been huge. Downloads continue to pour in. We had great coverage in the Android press and the Windows Phone press. Gizmodo and Gizmodo UK actually, with the week we came out, named us App of the Week, which was awesome.
That was awesome.
Gizmodo UK called us Essential Windows App for October, which was great. We had a feature in Lumia Conversations. The idea was very simple. A couple of friends and I, the guys who helped me build the app, who all work at Microsoft, we were all hanging out on New Year's Eve, and we were talking smack about college football.
Man after my own heart, I'm telling you.
Who's going to win what game and what team's better and offense, defense, all that normal stuff. And one of the guys was like, it's weird because you post these kind of questions on Facebook or on Twitter and you get all this garbage back. People leaving answers. Really hard to keep track of the conversations. There's got to be an easier way. And that's really the genesis of where Straw came from. And, what's interesting to me about the app is, one, is that people are downloading it, which is awesome, and people are using it, but the amount of response that you get off of a poll is exponentially higher than if you just posted something out on Twitter or on Facebook. I mean, I posted one on the day that the Microsoft band launched, and I said, are you going to buy a Microsoft band, yes or no?
Right.
And I got 1,400 people to respond to my poll.
Right.
Now, if I just posted that question on Twitter, I would never have gotten 1,400 people.
No.
Maybe 100, maybe 200.
Right.
But on simple things, like I said, one a couple of days ago, early in November, I said, is the Republican win in this election good or bad for America? Good, bad, or I don't know. And in an hour, 260 people answered my poll. Across Facebook, across Twitter, across SMS. It's like all these people can vote from all my different networks, and all that anonymous feedback comes back into one spot. And it's been really cool to see how people are latching onto it and using it every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. One thing I want to say is the web, so I can go online and participate. I don't have to necessarily have the app.
That's correct.
I like that you guys did that. That is really, really cool.
It happens online because what you then get is you get a link that you can then send to anybody. You send it on email, SMS, across any of your social networks. And we find I even use it here at work. If we have a team meeting, I'll generate a poll and send the link out to my team and say, what'd you think about today's meeting? Like, great, good, meh, not so good. And I can judge and get at least some level of feedback based on how that team meeting went.
Yeah, controlled feedback, not insane like I don't know, trolling of some kind. Were you gonna
eliminates the trolling, and the barrier to entry is so low.
Right.
People just should I wear the red shirt or the blue shirt on my first date tonight? Well, you can get feedback from people to be like, oh, I think you look better in the blue shirt versus the red shirt, and if you get an overwhelming response, maybe you should wear the blue shirt, right? I joke and I say like our stats don't lie, right? Like the numbers don't lie.
The numbers don't lie.
Yeah. You get back and you see that pie chart after everything's done. If you have multiple options, of course, and just be able to see the differences. It's like, man, this is really cool.
I want to challenge our users real quick. Everybody that listens to this, go download this app. It's Straw. It's a polling app. You're gonna love it. Android and Windows Phone. And the other thing is I heard about something on another podcast, and it was a site or something like that where you could go and look at a collection of statistical data in pie charts or bar charts or all these stat plots. I have never heard of it since and cannot remember the name of it. My bad. Yes, I know memory sucks sometimes. So if our listeners could write in and tell me where I can find that, I would love them forever. The next question for you, Ben, is anything else up your sleeve and what's coming for the future regarding Microsoft, Windows Phone, or something you're working on besides Straw?
Gosh, what's going on for any of the specific stuff for the company, obviously I can't tell you about because I would get fired.
Sure.
We want you to keep your job.
The last time I could be on your show, Ben.
Okay, first of all, they would have to fire you from afar because you could take out probably, I don't know, half the people at Microsoft, more than likely.
That causes a lot of problems, though, if you go that route.
Well, you were going, you're going to get fired. Anyways, you might as well go down swinging. But yeah, so tell us a little bit. That was a joke. No one go and beat up their boss if they get fired. But go ahead.
You know, I love the direction the company's going. You know, I mean, it was the old Microsoft mantra of, you know, we're going to put a PC on every desktop and every home and business. You know, we kind of did that. Yep. And now creating a world like a cloud-first and mobile-first world where you have all these different devices, smart devices from all over the world, communicating with and powered by Microsoft services, and running Microsoft software. It's awesome, and I love the direction that Satya's taken the company. And you know, I talked to Terry Myerson about this at Build, and he said, you know, there's this new energy around the company that I really feel. And you know, there are a lot of people on my team. I've been at Microsoft coming up on 7 years, and there are people on my team who've been here for 15, 20 years, and we all kind of agree, like, it hasn't felt like this in a long time. People are more excited, they're more energetic, they love to see the company crushing it. Like, we're doing great, and it's not just crushing it in like the old monolithic Microsoft iceberg, just plowing things down. It's like, you know, what we're doing with Office 365, with Surface, with Azure, it's really, like, it's just really amazing to see, and to see the way that real consumers see Microsoft as cool again, as something they want to have affinity for, that they're like, those guys in Redmond, they're doing some really interesting stuff, and I kind of want to be a part of it. You know, that's a pretty big deal. You know, so I've never been more proud to be part of the company and playing my small role in helping to get that word out.
Oh, it's not small, and they picked the perfect person to do it. The other thing is last Wednesday and Thursday, I mean, and going back all the way, honestly, to Build, and then the Windows 10 event and Office for iPad, just everything that's happened, and then now my Microsoft band that I'm wearing, I've always wanted this, and now that I have it, I love it. People who don't, you know, they can just anyway. So I love it. It's great. It's a phenomenal product, and I love this new direction. But last Wednesday and Thursday, when developers, people who I wouldn't say matter, but people who are very influential in deciding where they take their apps first, I think there was this huge momentum shift with the news of the Visual Studio community. It's a free download, you know, for college and indie people to develop once and distribute it to Android, iOS, or Windows. And I love this approach of, hey, look, we're not gonna, you know, hold anything back. We're just gonna do this thing. And that kind of attitude I love. I can get behind. I can because I'm a passionate guy, and if I got other passionate people loving what they're doing and pushing out great stuff, then it just makes for a great a symbiotic relationship. So I'm so glad that you were in the position that you're in, because I love those Windows Phone challenges. I thought they were really classy and well done. I laughed a little at the whole Scroogle campaign, but you know, not exactly a huge fan of it. But I like your approach. I like your, in particular, style. I liked, you know, your blatant honesty. Frankly, I was in a movie watching before the movie started, advertisements of the Windows Phone Challenge, and you up there going, you know, Ben the PC guy, you know, up there doing the challenge. So that was really a lot of fun to watch you do. Kevin, do you have any final thoughts for our wonderful guest?
The last two things that I want to mention, Ben, which Android device did you end up using to do your testing with Straw for Android?
So I got I ran a poll.
Okay.
Should I get a Moto X, a Samsung Galaxy S5, I think an LG G3, and an HTC One M8. And the M8 won, I think it was like 4% of the vote. So that was the one that I went out and got. I did not get a Google Play edition. Okay. I went to the AT&T store and I picked one up with Sense. It's a pretty great phone. It's I don't like it nearly as much as my Windows Phone. I love my Lumia 1520. You know, I still love my Live Tiles. I love the camera. It's still the best phone I've ever had. But the M8's a solid phone. I mean, now you can get one running, you know, Windows Phone OS, which is pretty much perfect. But I do have another Android phone coming. I got an invite for OnePlus One.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I managed to snag an invite, and theoretically, when I get home today, there should be one waiting for me. So I'm interested to try that one out. I have an iPhone 6 Plus coming as well. I like to try and keep, we have a couple Macs in the office, a couple iPads in the office, because if you're gonna do this job right, you got to know what the other guys are up to. And then you also become accepting of the fact that they do some things pretty well, and you can learn from it, and you can get better, and know how to position products even better against the competition.
Well, and that's what we talk about on the show, because we're not fanboys, if you will. We talk about Android, iOS, and Windows, and we don't talk about BlackBerry anymore. But I mean, the whole point of it is because all of those need to be healthy so that they can all get better, right? So that they can all learn, and people use different devices, right? They use a Windows PC with an Android. They use a Windows phone maybe with a Mac. There's different use case scenario. There's different reasons why, and it's important to keep that in mind.
I think it's really naive and very fanboyish, and it's kind of not healthy when you're like, oh, I love Windows Phone and the iPhone sucks. Like, the fact of the matter is the iPhone doesn't suck. It's actually a pretty good phone.
Right.
And they sell lots of them, and people use them. And if you can understand why, like what makes an iPhone great, and why people like it, it helps for app development, it helps for developer ecosystem, it helps for the whole Microsoft ecosystem, it helps for Windows Phone. And it also, as a fan, you kind of know what the hell you're talking about when your friends are talking about why their iPhone's so great. You'd be like, this is fun. Let me explain to you why I love my Windows Phone even better than a 6. Why my 1520 still is better than a 6 Plus. When most people just look at it and go, okay, I got a big phone over here and a big phone over here. This one looks kind of like the big phone that I used to have. This one doesn't, so I won't pick the one that I don't understand. You can help bridge that gap.
Yeah, totally. And what was the other thing you said? We want to say.
The last thing that I wanted to say. Now this comes from Joel Jackson, Alaskan Jackson.
Right, Joel. I talk to Joel all the time.
Okay, so he was wanting to know if you've ever found the 48 pounds.
If I found the 48 pounds, you guys know what that joke is about?
No, I have no idea. So I'm really curious to see what the answer is to this one.
I don't think I have it with me. So when I first started at Microsoft, I weighed about 250 pounds.
Okay.
I was pretty big. And I went through a program called 2020, which is run through the Pro Club, which is kind of like the Microsoft gym. It's a private company, but you get a membership there when you join the company. Mm-hmm. And I lost like they said 48 pounds. I actually lost more than that. But I lost 48 pounds, and they did a little profile on me, the Pro Club, that's up in the gym, but it's also in the Alaska Airlines in-flight magazine this month. Big headline that says, Ben lost 48 pounds.
So four people read it? No.
Yeah.
Just poking. I poke fun at everybody. Yeah.
But Joel was flying somewhere, was flipping through the magazine and saw my picture, so that's why he's asking me if I lost it or if I found the 48 pounds. Fortunately, not. I found a couple of them, but not all of them.
That's hard. That's hard. Right? When you're, because this job, being in the tech and trying to doing all this other stuff, it makes it really difficult to be productive. When you need to hit the treadmill or when you need to do the workouts, and especially when you have 4 kids. I loved. I don't know if you remember this when you. I think it was a tweet, but it was a picture of your poor touch or type screen for your Surface with the keys like chiclet keys pulled off.
Oh yeah.
All over the place. That was hilarious.
It's really easy for me to get new type covers.
Right. You come into work, it's not my dog that ate the homework, it was the family. They just demolished everything.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, though. I've got a first-gen Surface RT that's signed by Panos and Steven Sinofsky that
nice.
Kids play with. And
sure.
That thing is damn near indestructible. I gotta tell you, I've had it now for 3 years. This is back when my daughter was, I only had 2 kids at that point, right? 3 kids. But they play with it, they throw it around, and it's great.
Yeah, it lasts a long time. So we won't keep you anymore. We just want to thank you so much again for being on the show. We're just, like I said, you're the guy. You're the guy who we like seeing in the position that you're in. And because the other ecosystems, they don't have people like that. and you're just an awesome dude. So thank you for taking out the time to do all this stuff with us. If you don't mind, go ahead and tell ours anything that you wanted, to kind of get out or anything like that, and then where they can find out more about you and what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, the biggest thing that I want to say to everybody on your community, especially those of you who are Microsoft fans, I know a lot of you are, is thank you for being part of the family and being part of the Army that's coming out and helping to spread the word about not just what we're doing here and why it's cool, but why it's important.
Right.
It's the best way to win fans is one at a time. I say it's like hand-to-hand combat, right? You win them one at a time. You convert a friend to a fan, and they convert a friend to a fan, and soon you have a whole legion of fans. So the biggest thing I could say is thank you. In terms of where you can go for more information, a couple of places. If you're a retail professional, you got to join the new Expert Zone. We completely overhauled it. It's all built in HTML5 responsive design.
Oh, nice.
All new story-based learning, no more boring courses. That's expertzone.microsoft.com. So if you work in any retail capacity, you can join that. If you're just a Microsoft fan, best place to do is keep an eye on the Microsoft Twitter handle, Microsoft Facebook page. The guys who are running that team are right downstairs from me. They're good buddies of mine. They're doing some really, really cool stuff. If you want to stay in touch with me, best place to do that, you can see it in my lower third there, is find me on Twitter at BenThePCGuy. And if you have the time and you're on Windows Phone or Android and iOS really soon, hit pollwithstraw.com, P-O-L-L withstraw.com, or at pollwithstraw on Twitter. Download the app, check it out, let us know what you think.
Phenomenal. Well, again, Ben, thank you so much for being on. I hope you have a great and wonderful rest of your week. And I still haven't got my Skype invite for Webb, so let's see if we can change that. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll see what I can do.
All right. You have a wonderful day. Thank you so much again, and take care. We'll talk soon.
Good night, guys. See ya.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye.
And another awesome talk, as always.
As always. Okay, that ends our guest interview segment of the show. So we thank you, everyone, for making us and helping us get Ben, the PC guy, Rudolph, on our show. So thank you again. Just thanks. Now, let us get to informing you on all things tech, starting with Kevin on your first news story, sir. Go.
So the first thing that I want to talk about kind of goes along with this little picture here. Let me make sure that it's actually showing up. Yeah, Nexus 6 has started shipping out to consumers today. So everybody that had the early review units that had to wait until like last Wednesday, I believe, to start talking about them officially, the consumer orders are rolling out today from Google Play and Motorola. Even though I ordered this on November 6th and it was scheduled to show up on the 19th, I got it today on the 17th. So haven't really had a whole lot of time to play around with it other than swapping my SIM card over and kind of setting it up. But that's what kept me from eating before the show because, well, total excitement, Been waiting for this. I didn't get the Nexus 5 this last year, so getting a Nexus 6 this time around was very exciting. And so far, so good. Really loving the way that it feels in the hand compared to, even with the 1520. And I also have a Note 4 here as well, so be able to do some nice comparisons with these three large devices. So look for that more on stltechtalk.com, and we'll also be talking about that more on future episodes of Tech Informist, obviously.
Obviously. Well, I don't know how I missed this, Kevin, but Volvo embraces Google Cardboard to create a virtual test drive on your iPhone. How did I miss this?
That's a very good question. I don't know. Let's see, when this article came out on Thursday, it's because we're busy with the days of .NET.
Well, there you go. So I didn't know, but Google Cardboard, which is basically a cardboard cutout, like assemble, at home or whatever, way to put your phone inside of this cardboard, face deal that sits on your head, which is freaking awesome, by the way.
Kind of like an Oculus Rift.
An Oculus Rift type thing going on. You can take the new Volvo. I don't even know what car that is. It doesn't even matter. But
XC90.
Okay, so holy cow! Watch the video. This is on over at iMore, and also shout out to Daniel Urbino and Windows Central. awesome guys, awesome stuff. You guys are awesome. Anyway, so over on iMore, underneath the Mobile Nations umbrella, Renee Ritchie and all those guys over there, Dan Thorpe Lancaster wrote this post. But seriously, I want one of these cardboard cutouts, like, just 'cause.
There are directions that you can print out to make your own. Just heads up.
Well, done. Consider it done.
Done.
Next
You're
is
going
gonna
to go
wear
buy a
those.
new Volvo XC90.
Yeah. Well, no, but I'm gonna grab the cardboard thing.
Flare out your phones.
I'm not a big fan of the way they look, unless Volvo wants to give me one to try out. But I'll have the entire next show with a nice VR dealio on my head. But that's kind of neat, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
it is.
So
we'll have links to all the stuff in the show notes when we're done with the show. So.
Right. So you're up with the next news story.
All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is an Indiegogo campaign for a trackable carry-on suitcase has passed $1 million. And what's cool about this, it's these carry-on suitcases that look like they have some Bluetooth connectivity here. So, if you lose your device or you lose, well, not necessarily lose your device, but you'll be able to keep track of where your suitcase is through GPS and all that. The Blue Smart carry-on suitcase packs a 37-watt lithium-ion battery, so it can be used to charge your mobile devices also when you're stuck without a power socket. So, for those of you that travel, it's either sit in the floor over in some random wall in a hallway somewhere.
You've been watching too many Samsung commercials. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's true. So you can charge your device. Some other smart features, digital proximity triggered lock, which can secure the case when it's out of range of your phone for peace of mind. And the feature can also trigger in-app alerts when you and your case are parted to combat forgetfulness or theft. There's built-in digital scale, so to give you an idea how much it weighs. So, yeah, this is really cool.
I like this a lot.
Early people that get in during the Indiegogo campaign can pick it up for $235, which, according to what the manufacturer, they're saying is about half of what it should cost when it actually releases next year.
So I'm in the market for a new backpack. When I got home from our conference last week, the arm ripped off of my backpack.
It's because Ben's got your other nice one.
I know. I
Not Ben Rudolph, but
no, I know Ben Rudolph.
Our Ben on our
Ben Rudolph, you owe me a backpack. I lent you my backpack once. You never know. My brother Ben. So backpacks are. I'm like a chick with purses on backpack, like a dude with backpacks.
Yeah, we'll get you a Coach backpack.
No, this is cool. This is neat. This is one of those things where you could see someone getting a lot of use out of it. You really could. So I kind of, because your thing is pretty interesting here, I want to know more about what's going on the 18th, tomorrow, from Nokia. What can we do your story next?
Oh, yeah, that's plenty fine. Windows Central and a lot of other sites are also showing off this graphic that Nokia on obviously November 18th says we're up to something. And when you look at the image, it basically looks like an Apple TV or or kind of like a Roku box. It's just something that's going to sit on your TV stand, but there's no real information with it. So I don't know if this is kind of a similar to like the Microsoft Band, where it's like, hey, here's a new device we've been working on for quite a while. So we don't know if this is going to be like a TV-style media player or it's going to be kind of like a Mac Mini, because that's another thing it kind of looks like, is a little Mac Mini.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find more out about this tomorrow, and I'm really interested to see. So it's going to be announced in Finland at a tech conference called Slush, where Sebastian Nystrom, the head of product business at Nokia Technologies.
I don't think it's going to be any of those things. I think it's just going to be something totally crazy off the wall.
Going to have another bold prediction.
Yeah, That's my bold prediction that that's not any of those things you said. So I'm just really curious. I'm having this weird separation anxiety from Nokia because my 1520, I love my 1520. I was a big Nokia fan, and then all of a sudden, gone. So there's this weird, hey baby, I remember you,
Right.
with
Seeing an
Nokia.
ex-girlfriend and your kind of still crush and stuff.
Yeah. Well, she's not with anybody else yet, so that's not things. Not yet. Anyway.
Single life for a while.
Right. So it's just hey, what you been up to? Hey. All right.
Went and got a makeover, new hairstyle.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, girl. You as a redhead may not do it. Okay, so Skype has been breaking down barriers to communication for more than a decade. This comes from the Skype blog. Skype is available on computers, mobile phones, TVs, game consoles, you name it, they're on it. Over 2 billion daily minutes used. That's 33 million hours of voice calls every day. And they have some exciting news. They have Skype for Skype in a browser, Skype on a browser, Skype for web beta, which, you know what, I'm sick of this beta stuff. Dude, it's there. People are using it. Just stop.
Everything's essentially beta.
Everything is essentially beta. You call it alpha. Skype for the web makes it quicker and easier more than ever to connect with friends and family and colleagues around the world. All you have to do right now, but this is going to change in the future, is download a plugin for your browser, and then you'll be able to make and receive calls, text, and video calls. Now, what was kind of interesting, Mary Jo Foley talked about this a little bit, was holy crap that they just announced Skype for Chrome, and no, not yet. But we can definitely see that coming. Now, it says here in the blog that I can sign in to Skype, which I did. And it says then go over to hold on a second. Where was it? And you'll be able to connect and get started instant messaging directly from your browser. Well, that didn't happen, so I'm mad. Why didn't I get the option? So supposedly only certain people are getting it. So I would really like to be one of those people, Ben Rudolph. Ben, if you could, that would be great. Now, so I really would like to. I even hit Skype up on Twitter. I'm like, hey, where's my Skype for the browser? Because this sort of would be kind of a game changer for Skype, and it's, I want to say, competition with Google Plus.
Yeah, when it comes to Hangouts, that's what we use for our shows. Just make it where you can record video calls from within the app, where you don't have to run a separate software, stuff like that. And I'd gladly be willing to take a look at it.
Take a look at it. Yeah, absolutely. Screen share, that's another big one.
Screen share is huge because Google Plus has got that locked up right now.
Yeah, because right now, I'm telling you, Google's obviously they're doing a lot of things right, and this is one of them. Absolutely.
Hangouts is where it's at unless you're on Windows Phone. But then you've always got the computer.
So it says here, give it a try and let us know what you think. Twitter, Facebook, and the Skype community, blah, blah, blah. So I obviously didn't read this last line, so I'm going to hit them up on Twitter, Facebook, and the Skype community. See if I can get my deal. So you're up with your... Well, before we move on, was there anything else you wanted to say about this story?
No, that's okay. I'm just curious to see when this goes. I think it's good. I believe the next version of Internet Explorer, they're looking at rolling into some extensions, so to kind of compete better with Chrome and Firefox. That's one of the reasons why I really love those browsers, because there's so many other things that I can implement into it to make my browsing more, versatile.
Yeah,
enjoyable.
Totally. All right, you're up with your next story, sure.
Okay, so Sprint is back at it again, announcing new $80 and $90 family plans for their mobile sharing. And then also they have went ahead and done an iPad for Life plan, which is very similar to their iPhone kind of for life plan. But we'll touch on the $80 and $90 family share pack plans. For example, customers can build their own plan in 3 easy steps. Choose a shared data allowance, for example, 12 gig, $80 per month, or 16 gig for $90 per month, or up to 10 lines. Then you add data access for phones with unlimited text while on Sprint network. Data access charge for non-discounted phones is $15 per month per line for 12 gig through 120 gig plans. And you can also add tablet devices for $10 a month per line, and mobile broadband devices for $20 per month per line. And no early termination charge and no annual service contract with non-discounted phones. Obviously, the prices are going to be slightly different if you are purchasing a phone, if you're subsidizing your device or using, what is it, is Sprint the Jump, or I can't remember what it is that they've got.
Oh, no. No, Kevin. Oh, no. If only there was a way to find...
If only there was a way.
Jump, I think, is T-Mobile, so Sprint...
Yeah, I think so.
Upgrade...
Yeah, while you're looking that up, I'll talk about the iPad for Life plan. So customers can acquire an iPad Air 2 for only $20 a month for 24 months, iPad Mini 3 for $17 a month for 24, both with no out-of-pocket costs at point of sale. Now, with the iPad for Life plan, it's the only wireless carrier giving customers the ability to acquire an Air 2 or a Mini 3 for the prices I just mentioned before. And when you turn in the current leased device and lease another device with zero down at signing, purchase that Air 2 or Mini 3, and then you can continue leasing on a month-to-month basis. When the lease ends, the customer has the option to return the device in good working condition and terminate the service, or obviously, bump up to the next versions of either device at the time. So, Sprint.
Interesting.
Really partnering up a lot with Apple these last couple of years, especially after finally getting the iPhone to finally sell on their networks.
Holy moly, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah.
This is weird. I thought they had a name for this though. This isn't.
I thought they did. Maybe they
called
do
Sprint, like Sprint Unlimited now. Anyway, so I'm up with my next. Hold on a second. That was weird. So I'm up with my next story now. This next story really is just connected to Kevin's, which was Android L is now available on the Nexus 4, the Nexus 5, the Nexus 6, the Nexus 7, and the Nexus 7.
Yes, Nexus 10 and Nexus 9.
Nexus 10 and Nexus 9. So, boom, there you go. What was your experience like on putting Android L on your Nexus 4?
On the Nexus 4, it was kind of, I downloaded the factory image from the official website, so I know it was clean, it was pure, and I used a kind of a Flash utility. I didn't, do the whole ADB and all that stuff. So, whenever I first flashed it, it was kind of stuck in the boot animation. I mean, from the time we left St. Louis, the days of .NET conference, till the phone died, it was still in the boot animation. I'm like, I'm not even worried about it. Don't feel like messing with it because I was exhausted. So later that night, I powered it back on, shut it off, got into recovery, cleared the cache partition, and did the factory reset within the Android recovery, and it fired right up. The biggest issue I've seen so far for the Nexus 4 is Wi-Fi connectivity. I keep getting some drop connections and stuff like that. So I don't really think it's ready for the Nexus 4. Nexus 5 users, I think there's been a few that have been saying they've had some Wi-Fi issues. I haven't had a chance to really mess with the Nexus 6 yet to see if the issue's still there, but whenever I first powered the Nexus 6 on, it did say, hey, there's a new update for your Android L. So it was a 195 megabyte download and installed and did its thing. So
nice.
I look forward to talking more about this Nexus 6 next week when we have Jerry Hildebrand from Android Central.
Jerry Hildenbrand. No, I'm a huge fan of his, and as well.
Everybody loves Jerry.
I say that a lot. I'm a fan of people. There's also a lot of people that I'm not. So don't think that I'm a fan of everybody I talk to, because I'm not. And I let them know that pretty quickly. Like, I'm not a fan of yours. Please leave me alone. Anyway, so you're up with your next story.
All right, so I believe that's all my stories, actually.
Whoa, Kevin's like, hey, man, we got so much to talk about, dude. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. Yeah, it went pretty quick, believe it or not. But guess what, everyone? We have, by popular demand, my famous The Tech Ticker. Now, Kevin came up with the name of that, so I'm not going to beat him up too hard. No, I'm just messing with it. I like that name. I think it's a good name. It just took me once or twice to say it, and I'm like, oh, I like it. This is where we look at the financial aspect of the tech sector. I am going to pick a couple of companies. We're going to look at their stocks. We're going to look at what has affected that and what we can look at going forward if you're into finance at all. So to get this kicked off, Microsoft, interesting note, as Kevin so graciously put on the show notes, overtakes Exxon Oil, the giant oil company, as the second largest company. Largest traded company in the U.S. Now, their open was last week was at $48.60 a share. Closing was at $49.58 a share. The news that affected this was the Visual Studio Community Edition, a way to create Windows, Apple, Android applications for free, and open sourcing their very popular development application backbone, the .NET structure. A deeper relationship with Xamarin Developer Tools, an integration of Office and Dropbox, unlimited cloud storage for both personal and business use. Also, positive news for the positive news for the Microsoft Bang just keeps coming in. So, in your face, Microsoft haters. Predictions to the stock is going to make some hits for Xbox One sales not being as high as they would like to have been, or as high as they forecasted, but the stock will still remain strong, and it is still doing phenomenally better than it was a year ago at this time. So
just quick on Xbox, since they've dropped that price to $349, their sales are just flying like crazy. So I mean, obviously, all this news, is before, the drop and getting sales results as all that starts coming in. So
exactly, yeah, exactly. No, you're right. And Paul Thurrott, friend of the show, who was on a couple episodes ago, had talked about that on Windows Weekly, where and even What the Tech podcast. If you guys want a really cool network to check out, the GFQ network and What the Tech podcast is really awesome. I listen to it every week as much as possible. But the other thing is he had said, hey, if you sell a version that's not with the Kinect and that is $50 cheaper than what you'll probably sell a lot of these things. And guess what? He was right. So that is really cool, and you're right, Kevin. Thanks for reminding me of that. Now, Apple's up next. Apple, the opening price was $113.46, and the close was $114.18. News effect, after a week of continued positive iDevice sales, now that's not an actual device, but I'm just throwing everything underneath the I marker or moniker, the sales of Apple is doing great. There was a recent announcement of Tim Cook of his orientation, which was largely ignored in America, but not so in Mother Russia. A statue was taken down of an iPod or iPod Touch or something like that in a small Russian town that kind of made news. Country's leaders got some issues, but we'll keep moving on from there. The iPad sales are still not as strong as most investors would like, and in fact, they're losing some ground, but I don't think that that's necessarily because the iPad isn't selling, or the iPad isn't a nice device. I think it's just because tablet sales overall are kind of going through this weird transition period. There has been a positive response on the Apple Pay. Developers still enjoy massive returns on their apps in the App Store, and enterprise adoption for iMac-related devices has been strong. Predictions on this stock: the stock may peak because of the Black Friday sales and the desire for most people to have an iPad or an iPhone of some kind. But look for some disappointments in the overall tech stock sector as we go through the next couple of weeks. Next up is Google. The opening was $545.50. The close was $544.40. News that affected this was positive feedback from consumers on the release of the latest OS update, Android L. Google continues to roll out updates and the sale of its Nexus line of tablets and phones. There are concerns over the Google Glass project, which is kind of interesting because, you're not selling a lot of those because they're almost the price of a really crappy car that can get people from point A to point B.
Just a real quick point on that. Google has mentioned that the consumer release of Glass is going to be pushed off until 2015. So.
2014 is turning out to be kind of a bummer year, man. It really is. A little bit, in some ways, yeah. Unless you're, like me, and you love your Microsoft band, which I highly recommend to everybody. Don't listen to other people. Just listen to me. You messed me up. Oh, also, not every consumer is sold on the idea of a 6-inch phone like the Motorola Nexus 6, and you, Kevin, will have a chance to try that theory out and see if you like it or not. In a surprise move, Google has pulled the plug on the Google Wallet experiment. That was interesting, something we can talk about here in a second. With Apple Pay being well received, it is strange that Google no longer wants to participate. It's very interesting. Bold predictions for this stock is the stock is down for the week, but I don't think that this is going to last very long. With the holiday season upon us, there's going to be a plethora of Android devices going for cheap, meaning that more customers will be in the Android ecosystem soon. Kevin, did you want to make any comments on the stories that we covered during the Tech Ticker?
One thing I will say is with Google, their stock is down nearly $9 today. I was just looking at that while you were going through there.
Oh, it dropped again? Wow.
Yeah, all stocks are down, when it comes to the ones that you mentioned. They're down just slightly for the other two, but Google's taking a big hit today for some reason.
Interesting. Well, that'll be good news for the Tech Ticker of next week. So that concludes our news segment of the show. We'd just like to thank everybody for your participation. Again, if you want to comment or contribute to any of the stories that we cover on this show, email us at contact@thetechinformist.com. And if we missed any of your questions during the live show, or the Q&A, or on social media, we will get back to those accordingly. Now it's time for our application picks of the week. Kevin, you're up first with your application pick.
I'm going to go with I've been playing a lot of these endless runner games here lately, and one that I always like to go back with is called Ski Safari, just simply downhill skiing. I forgot exactly how much it cost up front. It might be like 99 cents or $1.99. It's on iOS and Android devices. It's really fun. The graphics are great. Really, really beautiful looking game. And it's just simply downhill skiing. You can ride bobsleds and skiing and catch up with eagles that carry you really high in the sky and take you all over the place. Sliding on the backs of yetis and skiing on penguins and stuff. It's really, really a fun game. You can save up and if you want to purchase different costumes and sleds instead of bobsleds or things like that. It's just really a fun game. Highly recommend it.
Okay.
Good time killer.
Cool. Well, I make no bones about this. I'm a Windows Phone fan, and I use it a lot. I also have a Nexus and some other Google stuff, but my pick this week is coming to you from Windows Central. That's how I found out about it. Convert text to spoken words with Read Aloud for Windows Phone and Windows 8. So this is both on Windows 8 and on Windows Phone. Read Aloud is a text to speech converter for your Windows Phone or Windows 8 device. The app supports conversions of web pages and PDF files. You can also save articles open and read aloud for listening to later or control the rate of pitch of the spoken word. While we did experience the few bugs in using Read Aloud, over the past few days it comes across as a handy means of listening to articles and documents when reading them from your Windows Phone or Windows 8 screen isn't practical. Read Aloud has 3 main pages that's shown on the site, so go to there for that. It is pretty cool, man. I really think that a lot of people are going to be like, whoa, this is really talented, really smart application. I'm sure that it's in another, Android and iOS already has something like this, but I think this is really cool for that. Plus, I wanted to make another plug. There was another one as CBS News. If you go into the Windows Store, and especially on Windows Phone, it is, if you're into news at all, and you pay attention to that sort of thing, it's really, really nice. Also, the STL Tech Talk app for Windows Phone, all of these are free, by the way. Oh, wait, hold on, let me double check. I think all these are free. Yeah, all these are free, by the way, in the store. Go check them out. I think you guys are going to like all of those, and be on the lookout for our future The Tech Informist podcast, as well as the Codecast podcast applications coming out on all of the major stores. Kevin, is there any other stories that you would like to add to this wonderful episode?
I'm good. I'm good for today. I'm really ready to start playing with the Nexus 6. A lot of talk today.
A lot of talk today. But we wanted to thank Ben, the PC guy, Rudolph, and just thank our listeners. We love and thank you for your support of the show. And we really mean that. So from the entire STL Tech Talk crew, consider yourself informed. We're out.